What a finish at Folsom Field in Colorado between the Buffaloes and Baylor Bears. I'm not sure there aren't two better words better in sports than Hail Mary, and that is what we got from Shedeur Sanders and the Buffaloes to force overtime. We're going to react to this, some of the other big matchups in college football today. Welcome into Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. If you want college football reaction every Saturday and videos throughout the season, we cover the NFL as well. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We have you covered all year long. What a finish. I mean, I'm not sure you're going to see an ending like that the rest of the season between Baylor and Colorado, where Colorado wins 38-31, because so much chaos happened in the last minutes of regulation, in the overtime period. I mean, it felt like that last 5 minutes plus OT was a game in itself, right? I mean, Colorado has to punt out of their own end zone down 31-24 with about 3 minutes left, or 2.5, whatever it was. I think it was about 3.5. And the Baylor punt returner gets it into field goal range. Colorado gets 3 quick stops, first, second, third down, but it's still like a 45-yard field goal attempt, which at the college level, let's be honest, is about 50-50. And when the guy went up there, you were like, this guy's going to yank it. And he did. He just ripped it wide right. But then here comes Shedeur Sanders in Colorado, and he gets sacked a couple of times. Colorado gets screwed on what should have been a first down. They didn't call it a first down, so the clock is winding, and they don't review it, so they have to go to the QB sneak just to get the first down because it was 4th and inches. Then they have to clock it, and what should have been a first down, 30 seconds left, time for 5-6 plays. They really had like 2 or 3 plays left. Shedeur throws it away on the first play. Second play, launches one inside the 5. The Colorado guy drops it. He would have been able to score easily. And then on the last play of regulation, Shedeur sprints left, throws across his body after setting his feet, and the Colorado dude slides and catches it about an inch off the ground, and they kick the extra point and go into overtime. While it's pouring rain, by the way, you're just like, yeah, Baylor's done. There's no way they're going to score. And I think this is a rare time where Baylor won the coin flip. And if you don't know college overtime, both teams get a possession. So 99 times out of 100, you want to play defense first, so you know exactly what you need to do. I think you could make a pretty good argument. This would have been a rare time to take the ball because, one, Shedeur and the Colorado offense had all the momentum, crowd on their side, the whole thing. And two, that Baylor defense had to be gassed, watching Colorado go up and down the field to force overtime. And just to kind of calm the waters a little bit, clearly Colorado was going to score, so they did. Now, Baylor, to their credit, it looked like they were going to score, and the Baylor running back's going into the end zone, but the Colorado linebacker gets helmet on ball. Ball comes out, squirts out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. Game over. Everybody's charging the field at Folsom Field, and they have to do a review. So there was, 3,500 people on the field while they're doing a review. Call stood, game ended, but what a game. And this is kind of the beauty of college football sometimes, because I don't think Baylor or Colorado are very good. I think both teams, if they made a bowl game, would be a successful season. Colorado's 3-1 now. Baylor's 2-2. Both have much tougher games ahead. But this is what you love about the sport, because you just don't get drama like this anywhere else. And again, even if neither of these teams are going to do much the rest of the season, you're always going to have that night. If you were a Colorado student tonight, you watched your team complete a Hail Mary to force overtime. You charged the field after you won in overtime. It just doesn't get much better than that. It just, there's something special about this sport. And, I've been kind of a Colorado detractor. I'm not convinced this works long-term with Dion. I'm not sure he wants to do it long-term, but they're entertaining. They're absolutely entertaining. There's no way around it, and that was a hell of a finish. And Sanders threw for 341. Their O-line can't block anybody, and he's weaving sacks, making shit happen. Travis Hunter's making plays. It was something to watch, man. And yeah, I'm glad I threw that game on late because I didn't watch a lot of it because I was locked into Tennessee, Oklahoma, which we'll go ahead and get to here. And I do wonder, is Tennessee a legitimate national championship team? Number 6 in the country heading into number 15 Oklahoma tonight. And the final score 25-15 isn't really that indicative of how dominant Tennessee was tonight in this football game. This game was 22-3 with like 10 minutes to go. And give Oklahoma credit, they found a couple of touchdowns late to make the final score respectable. They benched Jackson Arnold, 5-star quarterback, for Michael Hawkins, who honestly played a lot better. He was 11 of 18 for 132 yards and a touchdown in the second half. Arnold, 7 of 16, 54 yards and a pick. Hawkins can run around a little bit too, so I wonder if Brent Venables keeps him in there. We'll see. But Tennessee from the jump just set the tone with their physicality. And the reason I think Tennessee could be a national title contender this year is, one, Nico Iamaleava is very talented, a 5-star quarterback in his own right. Buck 94 and a touchdown, nothing crazy tonight, but no turnovers, took care of the ball, made good decisions. The touchdown he threw in the first half on it was almost like between a deep slant more so than a post, but he threw it on the absolute money. It was a frozen rope. He's got crazy talent. He can run as well. But I think more so is Tennessee has a really good defense for the first time under Josh Heupel. This is easily the best defense he has had. Now, Oklahoma has offensive issues, brand new offensive line. They've had some injuries at receiver. Arnold has not been that good, which is why they benched him tonight. But you held Oklahoma in their building in their first SEC game to 3 points for most of the night. I mean, this was a dominant performance from Tennessee. And they could run the football with Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop. They got multiple good receivers. Brew McCoy, big game. Dante Thornton, he's their big play weapon, had that 66-yard touchdown. Tennessee's fun to watch, and they're a complete team. You know, the team 2 years ago that got to number 1 in the country, was in the top 5 for most of the year before Hendon Hooker tore his ACL. You know, they were probably a little bit more dynamic and efficient offensively, but that defense wasn't anywhere close to this one. I think Josh Heupel, behind closed doors, would tell you this is the most complete team he's had in Tennessee, and it makes sense. I think in today's era of college football, you can fast-track an offense pretty easily if you just get the right quarterback and a couple of skill guys, which they clearly found lightning in a bottle with Hooker in the transfer portal for those couple of years. But now you recruit your own guy in Nico at quarterback. He's going to be the guy for a couple of years. You coach guys up defensively. I mean, they are physical. You know, even on Oklahoma's first touchdown, they had to hand it off multiple times inside the 5 just to finally get into the end zone. I really like what I'm seeing out of Tennessee. I would have them ahead of Alabama in the SEC pecking order right now. And hell, how Georgia played last week against Kentucky, you could make a strong case that both UTs, Texas and Tennessee, are the teams to beat in the SEC. We'll talk a little Texas in a minute. Arch Manning making his first start against Louisiana Monroe. Before we do that, I do want to get to Michigan-USC. I didn't see this coming. I really liked USC in this game. 4-point favorites. I hammered USC. They were down most of the game. They got up 24-20, so I'm kind of holding my breath. I'm saying, okay, let's at least get a push here, but didn't happen. The Wolverines, they ran the ball. They ran the ball. They ran the ball. They ran the ball. And then they ran the ball some more. I mean, this was a just 1980s approach from Sharon Moore. They switched quarterbacks this week to Alex Orji. 7 for 12 for 32 yards. USC, this is a tough one to swallow if you're Lincoln Riley, lost to Michigan in a game where their opponent was no threat to throw the football. They threw for 32 yards. And on that final drive, the only way Michigan was going to drive the length of the field and win, because USC over the course of the game settled in, and sure, Michigan had some good runs, but they weren't getting popped for big ones in the second half. They made an adjustment at halftime after Michigan was having their way running the football in the first half. But then Kalel Mullings, who is overtaking Donovan Edwards as Michigan's top running back, rips one for 63, and all of a sudden they're inside the 20 with the chance, and they don't have to throw the football to get down the field. The only way Michigan was going to win that game late is if they popped a big run and USC let it happen. And if they made Alex Orji throw the football late to beat them, there's no way it would have happened. But once you rip one for 60, you got a shot. And fourth and goal at the 2, power formation, handed off to Mullings, and he just finds the hole and gets into the end zone. And tough one to swallow for USC, because if they could have gotten through this game, they're 4-0 with the win over LSU and Michigan on their resume early. I mean, they got the inside track to be a playoff team, and now slight step back at 3-1, and Michigan at 3-1, they kind of re-enter that picture a little bit. Now, I think over the course of the season, I don't see it for Michigan. They're going to have to find a way to be somewhat competent throwing the football, which I don't know where that comes from. Alex Orji is not a high-level quarterback as a passer. He can run around a little bit, ran for 43 yards, but this just isn't going to work over the course of a season. But it worked today. Miller Moss, 28 for 51. I mean, if you're Lincoln Riley, Woody Marks rushes for 100 yards on 13 carries. You got to run the football more. I know he ripped 65 of those on one of them, but still 12 for 35 on the other carries. I mean, you got to be a little more balanced in this game. And they were playing catch up, I get it, but I think he'd like to have some of the game plan back. What a win for Michigan. I mean, to win a game where you throw the football for 30 yards is about as sweet as it gets for Michigan and about as ugly as it gets for USC. I don't think it's some devastating loss for Lincoln Riley on the road, but they were really starting to gain momentum after that LSU win in week 1, and this is definitely a little bit of a step back, no question. All right, a couple other thoughts from week 4. Utah goes into Stillwater in a top 15 matchup in the Big 12, beats Oklahoma State 22-19 without Cam Rising. He was wearing a glove in warm-ups, and there were a couple of clips on social media, him trying to throw the ball. You were like, yeah, this isn't going to work. He's not going to play, and he didn't. Isaac Wilson started, and 17-29, 209 and a touch. I mean, you take that if you're Utah. Bernard rushed for 180 yards. At one point, Oklahoma State benched Alan Bowman for Garrett Rangel. He was even worse, so they went back to Bowman, kind of rallied late, but wasn't enough as they fell 22-19. So that was a big win for the Utes. I think if Rising can get back and stay healthy, I think they're the clear team to beat in the Big 12, because the other team we would have mentioned is Kansas State. Well, they're down 24-6 in BYU in a little late night action right now, early third quarter. So they got a lot of work to do. I mentioned Arch Manning earlier, made his first start tonight. Little up and down, threw an interception on the first possession of the game, threw a second one later. So it was a little choppy, but luckily they were playing Louisiana Monroe. They hammered them 51-3. Arch was 15-29 for 258 and 2 touchdowns with those 2 picks. So certainly not bad, but I think the whole Quinn Ewers Arch Manning thing, I think it's one of those where when Quinn's healthy, they're clearly going to go back. Like, Arch was going to have to light it up tonight and potentially next week against Mississippi State to have a chance to keep the job. I think clearly Quinn Ewers will be the guy once he's healthy. Now, can he stay healthy? That's the question. He's had injury issues, but I don't think Arch did enough against a far inferior opponent to take that job by any means. Couple other things. Missouri surviving in overtime against Vanderbilt. I'll tell you what, Vanderbilt's much improved. They beat Virginia Tech earlier in the year, so that was an impressive showing. Poor kicker missed like a 30-yarder to force double OT. That was brutal. Nothing else really standing out on the slate. A&M barely beating Bowling Green 26-20. I should mention last night, Illinois 31, Nebraska 24. That was a nice win for Illinois on the road. Brett Bielema is maybe the most underrated coach in college football. He should have never left Wisconsin. He's such a Big Ten guy. Offensive line play, physical defenses. He's doing a great job there. I still think Nebraska's solid, but they're not quite there yet. Raiola's a true freshman. It's going to take some time, but it's almost been 3,000 days since they have beaten a ranked opponent. It's pretty crazy. But Loaded weekend of college football. Big slate of NFL games tomorrow. We'll have that covered as well. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it. We're trying to get to 3,000 subs ASAP. So if you want to support the show, subscribe today. And by the way, if you'll allow me to go on a little bit of a rant, some of you may know this, most of you probably don't. I'm a TCU alum, and probably a lot of you guys didn't keep track of this game because we're not very good. Played SMU today, one of our rivals, which our athletic director actually ended the rivalry. This is the last time they're going to play in a while, for a while. And we just got smoked in Dallas, where SMU plays, 66-42. Sonny Dykes, the TCU head coach, who's in year 3 now. Most of you will at least know this. Year 1, he takes TCU all the way to the national championship game, beats Michigan in that thriller in the semifinals. Since then, TCU is 7-10, and quite frankly, it's been a lot of embarrassing losses. He got ejected from this game. Whether it was justified or not, football coaches don't get ejected. Like, it doesn't happen. And he got ejected for multiple unsportsmanlike penalties. Just embarrassing. And 66-42 to your rival who's an inferior program in terms of talent. I mean, could a coach go from playing for the national championship to fired 2 years later? I would not rule it out. TCU fans are not happy. I'm certainly not happy. Just a dreadful performance from my Horned Frogs today. But fun action otherwise. Should be a fun season. Should be a fun NFL Sunday tomorrow. Again, subscribe, lock us in. We'll see you guys soon here on 4 Verts.